Welcome everyone. I just want to let you know that C.K.Itamura is our artist today. C.K.Itamura is an autodidactic interdisciplinary artist. Her work responds to a wide range of personal and social content and is realized as richly engaging, metaphorically layered, cross-media, conceptual installations, and participatory actions. What may appear as singular works are a series of related projects rooted in the past and carried into the future, combining tangible materials, sensory prompts, language, and expressions of time. Her work offers vantage points and charts from which to observe circumstances where art and life converge. CK is a recipient of the 2019 Discovered Awards for Emerging Visual Artists, made possible in part by Creative Sonoma and Community Foundation Sonoma County. She is an artist in residence of Chalk Hill Residency and In Cahoots Residency, a former board member of Healdsburg Center for the Arts, and she is the former director of marketing and events for the San Francisco Center for the Book. She joins us today from her studio, Peach Farm Studio in Santa Rosa, California. You'll have a chance to ask questions. You'll just type them in the chat below. It's in the little bar there that says chat. And we'll have time to, if we have time, hopefully we can get to all the questions. So without further ado, welcome C.K.Itamura.
Hi, everybody. It's so nice to see. I can see some people, I can see some people's names, but it's great to see your names and your faces either way. I wanted to spell a couple things. First of all, is my studio's name is Peach Farm Studio, and it is not on a peach farm. Because a lot of times when people hear that, they want me to show them the peach farm, and it's not on a peach farm. The reason why my studio is called Peach Farm Studio is because my grandparents on my father's side used to be peach farmers before World War II, when they were put in internment camps because they're Japanese, and they lost everything. So I named my studio Peach Farm Studio as a little remembrance and an ode to my grandparents who were peach farmers. So no matter where my studio is, it's called Peach Farm Studio. So anyways, thank you for joining us. Oh, and I mentioned there was two things I wanted to spell. And the other thing is I did not write my own bio, and I need to give credit to Nanette Wild. She's a fabulous artist down in Redwood City. She's a college art professor and printmaker, bookmaking. And anyway, she wrote that bio as part of an article that she wrote for me, so I can't take credit for that. So thank you, Nanette. I have been watching these shelter in studios, and I have been having a great time. Let's see. I have been having a great time watching everybody and seeing the studios of so many people. And I don't know about you, but there's been some really fun moments that kind of stand out for me. And because I'm looking at this shelter in studio, is if you are really visiting me in my studio today, so I'm going to kind of treat it as an interactive experience. So if you so choose, down in the chat at the bottom of your screen, or if you're on an iPad, it's probably in some other corner. But feel free to type in the name of maybe one of your favorite shelter in studio artists that you've seen during this series. I have a number of them. So while you're thinking about that for a moment and typing in who your favorite shelter in studio artist was, I'm going to give you a few of my highlights. So I loved it when Andy Rotner at Super Classy Publishing put us inside his foil stamper so we could experience what it feels like to be foil stamped. I also really loved it when Macy Chadwick over at In Cahoots Residency showed us how she chopped one of her chicken coops in half and drug it across the property to turn it into a part of the another sleeping accommodation for artists. I also loved when John Demerit from John Demerit Bookbinding showed us his super top secret trademark gluing tools that he uses. And also really liked it when Eric Rewitzer last week showed us his high-tech, cutting-edge database that he uses at Three Fish Studios to keep track of his prints. And if you didn't see any of these artists, I would highly recommend that you go to the SFCB website. And there's a link there to go to the Vimeo where you could see all these artists and all the rest of them too. So that if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you can find those artists and all the other ones and get a clue for what those are. So anyways, just wanted to do that. So I'm gonna kind of cut this session. It's a short session. We only have like 22 minutes remaining in the session, but I'm gonna cut it into 3 segments. So it's gonna go by really fast. So just don't blink the whole time. Just keep your eyes open the whole time, don't blink. So the first part is going to be, I'm going to show you some work that I did pre-pandemic, because in my life, I am 56 years old right now. My life is now divided into 2 pieces. It's pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. And so I'm going to share with you some of the work that I've done pre-pandemic. Then I'm going to give you a quick tour around the studio that I'm standing in right now up in Santa Rosa, California. And then I'm going to show you a couple projects that I've been working on well, not post-pandemic because we're still in the middle of the pandemic, but things that I've been working on during the pandemic. So let's get started. I'm going to do a little screen share, and let me see. And so you could see a little slide presentation that has some photos that I prepared for you. Great. Oops. I need to close this other screen. Escape. Sorry about that. I'm just going to drag that to the very bottom. Okay, here we go. That's very obvious. SFCB Shelter and Studio, Beach Room Studio. So again, this is pre-pandemic. So pre-pandemic projects, I was working with a lot of paper.
Cheryl, your screen's not shared.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so again, this is like pre-pandemic work. I was working with a lot of paper, and this paper installation consists of 1,462 paper teacups, and this was installed in Santa Rosa City Hall in 2017. This is another project that is also working with paper again. Those are different sculptures that I have on the ground there. And this one was Story Problem 156 at Chalk Hill Artist Residency in 2018. And this one was a collaborative project with the public. So I had a lot of people participating in the making of this particular one. But then we got to mid-2019, and in mid-2019, I was working again with this medium of paper teacups, and from July through October 2019, I was working on all the individual components for that. And in November 11th through November 14th, I installed this at the Museum of Sonoma County as part of the Discovered Emerging Artists of Sonoma County Award that I received. And this particular project straddles the pre-pandemic and current pandemic situation, and I'll explain why. So I went to the WHO, the World Health Organization website, and recently found that they have this timeline on their website that tracks all of the COVID-19 dates from the first date to the current day. And and this was just really recently, and it kind of haunts me. So in November 11th through November 14th, 2019, I was installing this. And on November the 17th was the first recorded case of COVID-19 in Hubei, China. And then on the next day, on November the 18th, I went to the museum to do final touches on the installation. And then that Friday, November 26th, the exhibition opened. And then from November 22nd to February 2nd, every day that the museum was open, which was basically every day except for Monday, I would go back to the museum and make a change to the installation. And I would have helpers come, or people at the museum actually help me with those changes. And what those changes consisted of is I would remove a random number of cups from the installation, take them back to my studio and paint them black. And then the next day I would come back and put those black cups back into the installation until take away a few more. And here you see some people that were either museum guests or people that I invited to help me with that process on a few different occasions. And then eventually, as the months went on, the installation turned to be almost completely black. And again, people are still helping with removing teacups, and I would take them back and then come back the next day and replace them. So that finally, on the last day of the installation, that was the only day when the sculpture was completely black. And then the exhibition closed the day that I made the last change, which was February 2nd. So then I went and de-installed this, this piece on February the 3rd and February the 4th, after the exhibition had closed. And then on February the 5th, the World Health Organization held its first of what would become daily COVID-19 briefings. So this particular piece that I had been working on now, to me, is similar to how people ask the question, where were you on 9/11? What were you doing? Or where were you when John F. Kennedy got shot? So for me, this piece is the answer to the question, what were you doing when the COVID-19 pandemic began? Okay, breathe. Now, onto fresh air and sunshine. So I'm just showing you these couple of slides right here, fresh air and sunshine, because we actually have fresh air and sunshine right now. And because the studio tour I'm just about to take you on inside my studio is not going to include anything outdoors, but there's a couple places outdoors that I actually do some work as well. So outside my studio is this little station. And this is where I can do wet work and do such things as eco dyeing of fabric and paper, anything that's drippy, any type of, anything that has to do with water that's done out here. And if any of you have taken Dorothy Yuki's eco dye class at San Francisco Center for the Book, you will know exactly what these things that are in this slide are for. And I'm not going to tell you what they are. So you'll just have to wait until Dorothy Yuki teaches her eco dye class through San Francisco Center for the Book again. And then you can find out what these are. But that's where those are inspired by. And this is just some muslin strips that I'm drying for a project. And again, outside of the studio that I'm going to show you today, there's the music house. So my studio is not actually at my home. It's about 10 minutes drive down the road from my house, but back at my house that we're not at today. That's where the music studio is. So there's just a little glimpse of a couple of pieces of the studio. Some of the few of the many instruments in the house, a little recording studio that belongs to my partner, Conrad Pretzel from Clothesline Revival. And I'm happy to be collaborating with him on creating some music videos. And that piano and those guitar cases are in our dining room. And then that's my website and my Instagram page, which you don't have to scribble it down right now because we'll share it with you later. And those are some vegetables from my backyard because I'm just really happy with my garden. And that's kind of it. So now I'm going to stop the slideshow. Thanks for being a part of the slideshow. And I'll see. Does anyone have any questions right now before I start on the tour? We could probably take a question or two if you have any. Otherwise, I'm going to start right into the tour. Okay.
No questions right now, Cheryl.
Oh, yeah, sure.
No questions.
Oh, no questions. Okay, super. So we're going to do this tour. It's going to be a quick tour, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to really try to make it so that you don't get car sick, because I get car sick really easily, and I know what that feels like, and it's not fun. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm actually going to take my computer, my laptop with me around the studio, but I'm going to let you focus on me if you get car sick, and I'm going to ask you periodically to look over my shoulders at different things behind me. So this is my favorite poster wall right here. There is this wonderful poster right there that says "Art is Alive and Well" in San Francisco. That was actually printed by Chad at the San Francisco Center for the Book for one of the Roadworks. I think it was out for Roadworks. No, that was for the Art Span Mixer. And let's see, this is, okay. So there's my little cut trimmer station right there. And let's see, I need to thank people along the way too, because I just need to. So Julianne Coleman, who is also an instructor at San Francisco Center for the Book, gave me the hot tip on where to get one of these cool cut trimmers from. So thank you, Julianne, for that. And then we're gonna kind of spin around over my shoulder. You see a typewriter down there. And I got that from Nanette Wild. I mentioned her a little bit ago, and she's the one that wrote the majority of what I used as my bio today that Cheryl read. But that's a typewriter from her collection that I'm lucky to have in my studio now. And then this is my Gordon style press, and it's a floor model press that I actually got from the Museum of Sonoma County when they were deaccessioning some of their collection. They had a warehouse space off-site, and they had a number of really super cool pieces of equipment that had been donated or they had collected otherwise over the years, and they had to downsize their storage space, and so this became available. I got a tip from through Eric Johnson at Iota Press in Sebastopol. He's the founder of oh my God. Oh, why am I skipping out? Anyways, so yeah, Eric Johnson at Iota Press in Santa Rosa gave me the tip on Sebastopol, gave me the tip on that. Also Eric Johnson. So this little rack behind me that I use partially as a drying rack, but I also put projects on each of the individual shelves. Eric uses these baking racks the similar way for putting print projects and things like that. So a little kudos to Eric for that idea. There's another typewriter right there. I actually use these typewriters. I use them to type zines. I use them to type letters to people, like writing to people. And I particularly like typing on typewriters. So there's that. Then very quickly, I'm gonna go past these shelves here and then into my little office corner. So this is my little office corner that I use when I'm, on the computer doing office-y kind of things. And then on the wall here, you'll see a set of 4 black flags, some of them which are upside down, which I created as a reaction to the election in 2016. In fact, the day after the election was when I started working on those. And then in this corner is my Roadworks print. So back in the 10th anniversary of Roadworks, I was a lucky person that got to be one of the artists. So that's my big print, my big Roadworks print. And if you're wondering what on earth is on it, it's a text print. So basically it says, of all the things you can create, make your life the masterpiece. And speaking of Roadworks, Roadworks is coming up on the last Sunday of this month. It's going to be virtual. So, but it's still going to be super cool. So there's not going to be anything different except for you won't be able to actually be there in person, but it all have the same components: demos, classes, no, demos, printing happening, and things like that. But you'll have to watch it on your screen. So make sure to go to the SFCB website and sign up so that you can get the link to that happening event. And it's going to have vendors too, lots of vendors. Oh, yes, there's another typewriter down there. That's one that I got as a gift. And then I've got my sewing station here over my shoulder. So I've got my sewing machines. So if I want to work with textiles, I could do that. And then here behind me is my drawing station. So right now I'm working on some graphic zines. So I'm doing some sketching and some cartoon work for the zines that I'm working on right now. And you can kind of see some of the in-process work on that over my shoulder now. Hope you're not getting too car sick. And then the last couple minutes that I have right now, I'm just going to set this right back down. And I'm going to show you a couple of the zines that I've been working on. And the reason why I've been working on zines is because pandemic. And I showed you at the beginning of this session all the large installation type work that I was doing, and haven't been able to do that kind of thing. While it's true I could work on the individual component parts in my studio, it was kind of, I wasn't really focused on doing something like that, because who knows when there's an opportunity to be able to do the actual installation of the pieces. So I decided to put those projects aside for a while and work small, work on things that I can do in the studio and still be able to share with people. So one of the projects that I showed you a moment ago was my little, one of the little zines. Let me just, I'm gonna go ahead and change to, sorry, let me just turn this on for a moment. Oh, I'll just have to show you up here. So this is one of those zines that I was working on. So it's got a cut paper sleeve that they're all in. And then this is a graphic meditation on fear, because I don't know, can you guess why? Maybe I'm just kind of thinking about like fear lately. So anyway, so it's a set of 4 zines that are like that on the inside. And so that's that. And I'm actually part of the San Francisco Zine Festival that's going on right now. So you could find information about, I think there's a link or something about my zines, but there's also tons of cool other zines that are that you can see and learn about through the San Francisco Zine Festival that's going on right now for the whole month of September. Here's another one that I did too. And I actually gave a talk that Jenny Hinchcliffe arranged for about a month ago with the San Francisco Zine Festival, and it was broadcast through San Francisco Stand for the Book. But this was my Ruth Bader Ginsburg zine, my RBG zine. So same thing, it's got a cut paper sleeve that the zines live in, and then it's a set of 4 zines that it's called Justice Truths. But if you look at the word truth, Ruth is what is in the middle of the word truth, right? So they're Justice Truths or Justice Ruth, whatever way you want, but they're 4 zines, and each zine has a theme and a quote and a collage that I did that is something that they all reflect words that came out of Ruth Bader Ginsburg's mouth. So anyway, she's she's fantastic, and I felt like, well, that's a worthwhile project to spend some of my pandemic time on. And aside from that, I'm working on, I've got commissioned by the Imaginist Theater Company in Santa Rosa, California, and they've commissioned me to create a performance that people can perform at home. And so people who are donors to the Imaginist Theater Company are all going to receive this performance that I'm creating that they can perform at home, which actually has a book arts component in it too. So I'm excited to be working on that. That's my October project. Anyways, I think.
Cheryl, we have a question.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yep, we have a question from Lori Foster.
Uh-huh.
What the cups are made out of.
Oh, so the
Your
cups,
teacups.
super.
What they're made out of.
Super. So the cups are made from the most basic type of simple, cheapest paper that I could find, which is tissue paper, the kind of tissue paper that you find in your box of new shoes that your shoes are wrapped in. So it's super inexpensive tissue paper, and they're held together just with cornstarch and water. So it's just a simple paste. I do them seasonally. I only work on them during the hot months. And I put them, because I put them out in the sun to dry. So I make them and then put them in the sun. So in the winter months is usually when I do the painting on them. So hope that answered that question.
Okay, and then Margarita, along the same lines of the teacups, she says, teacups can hold so much meaning. What do they mean for you?
Oh, okay. So oh God, I only have like 15 seconds to answer. So that first project was also done in response to the last election. The 1,462 or 1,461 actually teacups is the number of days in a in a 4-year presidential term. That's where the title and that's where the number of teacups came for that project. And the teacups was just trying to find a form that reflects a way to stay grounded. And I always drink tea as just kind of a meditative, reflective type of thing. So that's why the teacup shape. Oh, it's 1 o'clock. We ran out of time.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm sorry we didn't get, there was one last question, but we'll have Cheryl. Thank you so much. Join us for our Roadworks Festival, September 11th from 11 to 4. You can find all the details on our website. Thanks, Cheryl, for coming.
Okay, thank you.
Joining us.
Bye, everybody. Enjoy this fresh air and sunshine.